Today marks 26 years since an apparent triple homicide rocked Westminster. Paul Skiba, his 9-year-old daughter Sarah, and his employee Lorenzo Shivers disappeared after signs of a struggle at Skiba's moving company February 7th, 1999.
Their bodies have not been found, and neither has a suspect. Denver 7's Adria Irahita tells us why detectives believe after all this time they are one step closer to finally getting justice.
This truck yard on Westminster's North Raleigh Street hasn't changed much in the last 26 years. Still very much industrial, moving trucks lining the street. But the truck you see in this picture has an unfinished story that starts on February 7th, 1999.
Our officers were down there and discovered what looked to be a crime scene.
Paul Skiba, owner of Tough Movers, his 9-year-old daughter Sarah, and his employee Lorenzo Shivers, returning to the yard after a job around 7 that evening.
It appeared as though there had been some sort of confrontation and that people had been shot.
Detective Troy Gordonier says the truck was found back in the lot on Raleigh Street. Investigators believe the 3 were murdered.
We have a witness who actually heard that truck return and hit the fence as it was being pulled back into the moving yard.
Their bodies are still missing, and new evidence has emerged.
What we've discovered as well is there's parts of the moving truck that we are missing. Big moving ramp that would have been with this truck is missing, as well as moving blankets and moving straps.
Now, after 26 years, they've found new DNA, and they're working to test it with today's technology. Combine that with an increased cash reward thanks to several donors.
Over the last year, we've talked to many people that were involved in the investigation back then. Most of those people are still alive and still here in the Denver area.
In a statement, Sarah's mother, Michelle Russell, says the loss of her only child has not gotten any easier, and reliving the events every year is a heartbreaking way to remember her. Asking whoever knows anything to come forward. Investigators hope these are the last few steps in bringing Paul, Lorenzo, and little Sarah home.
And they deserve that closure.
In Westminster, Adria Irahita, Denver 7.
They certainly do, and law enforcement's offering a $10,000 reward for information that could help solve this case. If you have any information, contact Westminster Police.
And going in depth here, hundreds of cases of murdered or missing people remain unsolved in Colorado. But in recent years, detectives have been able to crack more of these, sometimes decades later, due in part to advances in technology. In fact, just last year, Weld County deputies solved a cold case 20 years old with the help of genetic genealogy. They tested DNA from unidentified remains found in a field in 2000 to identify the person as Christopher Case, somebody who went missing in Wyoming in 1998. Denver 7 recently spoke with the Assistant Director of Investigations at CBI about how this tech is making such a difference in solving these cases.
We're now able to split mixtures of DNA between the victim and the suspect potentially. We're also able to use just much smaller DNA pieces and develop full profiles from that we haven't, 10, 15 years ago.
And you can hear more from Kirby Lewis and families of cold case victims on a recent episode of Real Talk with Denver 7 and CPR News. Scan the QR code there on your screen at the bottom, rewatch the episode anytime, or you can go to denver7.com/realtalk.